And the Great Reset is very much about this idea of, of how this kind of stakeholder capitalism can take roots, can, almost going kind of beyond borders and stuff. And a lot of it is about control and surveillance. And again, this is where CBDCs come in. This idea of being able to see what people are spending, when they're spending, what they're spending it on, and even put limits on those things, which for me is one of the scariest parts of it.
According to the World Economic Forum, the infamous international organization, seeking to change the current world order, the Great Reset is an initiative for managing the direct consequences of the COVID-19 crisis and improving the world. According to the organization's website, the initiative seeks to influence global leaders, the direction of national economies, the priorities of societies, the nature of business models, and the management of global commons. But the organization's real intention is poorly hidden behind the fancy words. For some time now, it has been touting the highly distasteful slogan, "You'll own nothing and you'll be happy." Several members of the organization, including its megalomaniac leader, Klaus Schwab, have described a future where the world uses circular economy business models. In such models, all products will be managed by a few stakeholders and rented out to everyone else. In a recent interview with Kitco News, Guy Turner, the co-founder of Coin Bureau, expresses some concerns about the WEF's highly controversial campaign for the New World Order. According to the popular crypto advocate, central bank digital currencies are one of the first steps toward this new, inevitable future. He adds that Bitcoin remains the only tool for evading complete dependence on the World Economic Forum and its stakeholders. Before we take you to Guy Turner's detailed analysis of the Great Reset and why you need Bitcoin, please take a little time to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos. We also love to hear from our viewers and subscribers, so don't forget to drop your comments and observations in the comments section below and check out our other videos. Thanks. Let's dive right in.
This is this idea that the IMF, the World Economic Forum, again, these organizations, these
unelected bodies, these bodies that are not accountable to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how many viewers out there can name, any more than one or two members of the IMF or the World Economic Forum. These are very shadowy people, but obviously they are hand in hand with major global corporations across the world. These so-called stakeholders. And the Great Reset is very much about this idea of how this kind of stakeholder capitalism. There's also, I think, there's a growing realization from companies and also from governments as well that, especially in developed countries, there is an enormous demographic decline going on. And I mean, we could talk about the reasons for that for hours on end. But I think what that essentially means is that there are, over time, going to be fewer and fewer consumers. So the problem for World Economic Forum stakeholders and people like that, how do we continue this growth cycle? How do we continue to grow the economy? How do we continue to sell stuff to people? And when we were researching this video on the Great Reset, one of the things that really struck me was this idea of basically hardware as a service. So rather than you going out and buying a new phone, say, you'd simply rent it. You'd pay a subscription, a bit like you do with your Netflix or your Amazon Prime or whatever it may be. You would pay a subscription, a monthly subscription, and whenever your phone became obsolete, whenever there was a new model that the company wanted to put out, you'd send your old one back and they'd just replace it. And that way, they're able to lock in a consumer for life. But the problem is, as this kind of infamous saying goes, you'll own nothing. And this is something, again, that I've talked about more recently, this idea, inflation is one of the most destructive forces really on the planet. It's kind of the root cause of so many of the problems that we feel: overconsumption, environmental degradation, no upward mobility, increased inequality. All these sorts of problems, I think, can very much be traced back to this idea of inflation, which itself comes from this constant desire to grow. And I think the end game for people like the IMF, etc., and the World Economic Forum is to basically keep this going indefinitely, because it benefits their members, it benefits their stakeholders, not unfortunately the rest of us.
By all indications, the real idea behind the Great Reset is the continuous extortion of the masses to feed the insatiable greed of the few. And it is quite unfortunate that several world leaders and executives of large corporations completely support this initiative. The World Economic Forum is also pushing for an individual carbon credit system, where your carbon footprint will determine the kinds of services you can receive. Under the system, once you exceed the allocated carbon limit, you have to buy more carbon credits to continue to use all services, which of course will be under the complete control of the organization and its stakeholders. Let's get back to Turner's interview as he speaks about the carbon credit system and how Bitcoin might be the only solution to avoiding the mess. He also gives his long-term price prediction for the leading crypto asset.
Let's talk about these individual carbon credits for a sec, because this is grown out of an idea that the corporations that are responsible for overconsumption, that keep bringing out more things for us to buy. They don't want to be ultimately responsible for that. They want to shift the blame for overconsumption onto the consumer. And we're obviously seeing these. We've had these institutional carbon credits for quite some time now, and this is a kind of, as I said as I talked about in that video, this is a kind of growing global market. And I mean, let's face it, it's the way that companies like Tesla, for instance, Tesla makes more from selling carbon credits than it does from selling cars, which is crazy, really. But we're seeing this kind of scramble for this new asset class that these corporations have created. And I think extending that to the general population, again, that's partly about control. Let's say you exceed your yearly carbon allowance, then you can't do this, you can't do that. But you can do that if you're just able to purchase more carbon credits. So again, I think it's about extracting liquidity, extracting money from everyday people, and basically propping up the inflationary fiat system that we have at the moment. But I think the best way, perhaps, to ensure, not only insure yourself against this future, but to also profit from it, is to buy Bitcoin. Because I think the demand for a form of money that is beyond the control of any government or wider organization, that isn't linked in any way to how much carbon you use or don't use, which can be exchanged peer-to-peer like cash, I think the demand for that in the future is going to be enormous. And that is one of the reasons why I myself am invested in Bitcoin and have been for a very long time, because I believe that this technology, this is really the best weapon that I think the individual has, that is something that is open to everyone. Trustless, permissionless, all these other adjectives you attach to it. But what's crucial is that anyone with an internet connection can buy Bitcoin, and that for me is what's so exciting. Again, it puts you in control of your finances. It means that you will be able to interact with people quite outside this CBDC system. And I do believe that is what we will end up seeing. We will end up with this system whereby people are using CBDCs, because I don't think they're going to have any choice about that. Nobody wants to be, or very few people want to be completely locked out of the entire economy. And unfortunately, that is going to be the alternative. But I think there will be this huge global movement of people who are, anyone who wants to transact privately, anyone who doesn't want the government to see a particular transaction for whatever reason that may be. I think that they will be transacting in Bitcoin, and I truly believe that Bitcoin will be, if not the world's official reserve currency, then an unofficial reserve currency, which may in fact be an even better outcome. I generally try and stay away from price predictions because they're the sort of thing that can come back to haunt you. People always remember when you got it wrong, or and very rarely when you got it right, if you did. But I think in the future, and we are talking much longer term here. We're talking perhaps into the 2030s and the 2040s. I think Bitcoin will be changing hands for well over six figures in dollars. Obviously, adjusted for inflation, perhaps. But yeah, that is it's so difficult to, well, it's impossible, isn't it, to have any sort of narrower time frame on where this is going. But I think Bitcoin will be one of the most sought after assets out there.
What are your thoughts on the Great Reset? Is it a necessary evil to save the planet from some potential doom? Or is it just the machinations of the rich, greedy, and powerful? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Also, ensure you drop your comments on Guy Turner's take on CBDCs, the Great Reset, and the importance of Bitcoin in the future we all face. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. You can also check out our other videos featuring some of the industry's brightest, explaining how you can easily navigate the financial world and crypto industry. Thanks for watching.